What do you think about the community outcry over the event?
I think it's really stupid. I think it's I just think it's really stupid.
Welcome to ScavTalk, an Escape from Tarkov podcast with a continuing focus on development of the game, patch note analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I'm one of your hosts. I am a video editor, or sorry, I am a video editor for a Tarkov YouTuber named Daring Marine.
And I'm GigaBeef, a Tarkov YouTuber who is donating all of his money to the cause, slowly but surely, as he feels peer pressured into doing so. Welcome back to ScavTalk, everybody, in the crazy, crazy game that we call Escape from Tarkov. Church, how's your week been? How's it been going?
It's been going pretty good. I saw Nikita's tweet. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna remove the traders if this gets 30K likes or whatever. I was like, dude, I know that's gonna happen. So I logged in and started buying as much as I could. I think I spent like I said 10 million in the ScavTalk Discord, but I think that's wrong. I think it was more like 5 million. I couldn't remember
Mhm.
my original balance. So yeah, I got even more gear and haven't even gone into a raid yet.
Oh my goodness. Is that because have you got Airwing and his whip over the back of you, you know?
Not I mean, yes and no, but mostly just because I just I just can't bring myself to play the game, man. I just like I played before the event. I played a couple of raids of Fairwing on Lighthouse. It's just like giga fucking boring, dude. Because I
Just because you weren't finding players, or like, what's the deal? You don't have anything to do.
well, that's the thing. You said yourself. You know, it's like there's nothing to do, so you just find players. But it's like all the problems with Tarkov, like the spawns, like literally you just spawn, run, and then you get shot at, or you're spawning and waiting to shoot other people. Like I don't know, dude. It's just like I just want to shoot people. I'd rather just go factory, it's just like quick. But then it's like then I have to sit there, gear up, wait in the timer. Like I was watching Ghost play Warzone, and I'm like half tempted just to like get get that. Isn't it free? I think it's free. Is it free?
I think it might be now.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, I should just do that for like a shooter game.
Try it, yeah. Maybe do or just do anything because there's so many other games. You know, there's Warzone, there's Apex, there's Hunt Showdown, there's
Yeah. It's just those
maybe
are
not
just like,
Squad if you're playing on your own, but
you just get into the action quicker. I just can't just I don't know, man. I don't
low
know.
burn.
Yeah,
And
that's the
well,
thing. It's like when you do get into fights too, like it's like, there's so many things working against you. Like one time we were inside the chalet and the audio is just really fucking with me. Like just giga fucking with me, dude. I could not tell what elevation he's on. All I could hear was wood. And part of that's probably because I don't play the map enough. Like I haven't PvP'd in the area enough. I don't know if you've seen like videos. I saw a short from Shootaville where he was sort of narrating his gameplay. He's like, yeah, it really frustrates me that people think they're so good at the game when really they just abuse bugs. And he just literally he's on like second floor resort, runs maybe he like jumps out the window on outside, runs all the way around, runs up the stairs, and the guy's like still lean peeking, holding the angle, and doesn't hear him at all, and just kills him. He's like, so yeah, please shut up with about you being so good at the game or something. So, anyways, there's probably like a part of that where I just don't know like how to abuse audio, but yeah, it was just like that was not a fun experience because I thought he was in one position, he was in a completely different position. So I just walked into him and died. I was just like, well, that was fun, and you know, I don't know, man. It's really hard to like for me to just have like a fun experience that's not um yeah, it's just I don't know. For me, the fun of the game is sort of like that grind, that
yeah.
economical game, and once that's solved, just like the fun evaporates. The other thing that pissed me off, I'm going on a bit of a rant. I'm sorry.
Oh wow.
I just gotta get this off my chest, dude. Is the fucking landmines. The fucking land. They're
What
just
on the Lighthouse?
yes. I don't understand the logic, dude. Okay. You hit a landmine, right? You take minimal damage to like your left leg and your stomach. It's like, okay, I'll heal that up. You know, the blurry effect's gone, the contusion effect's gone, whatever. I'm like, okay, I should be good now, right? Wrong. If you hit a landmine, you just insta die. And it's like, what's the mechanic here? It doesn't, it's like, what? I would
Yeah.
much rather. I would much rather me insta die on the first landmine, because that to me that makes more sense. Because everything in the game, it's like, oh, I'm bleeding. It's gonna give me an indicator that I'm bleeding, to tell me what's happening, and it shows me. Whereas this is just like a hidden timer. It's like, oh, 2 minutes. Apparently, it's 2 minutes. I don't like. How would you know? You have to like just literally go offline raid and test, and that's ridiculous. I hate it, dude. I hate the fucking like. I would rather just die off the fucking get-go, man. Ugh. Yeah, that pissed me off.
Yeah, I mean, I get that with the landmines. It's a bit counter because it doesn't. It's one of those things that goes against the heuristics of what you already understand to be the game. You say, here's the medical system. This thing does a certain amount of damage. I heal myself. The second one now just randomly multiplies it for some reason. And I mean, that's just not how anything else works in the game. So that's the thing. It's not intuitive once you are familiar with the standard mechanics. But I mean, I guess you said that. What's the mechanic here? I mean, the mechanic is don't stand in the minefield. But it's I
Yeah.
agree. The way it's implemented is a bit strange. You'd rather it leave you on a trickle of health and take all your meds or something.
I'd rather just
Because then,
insta kill me than
yeah,
not even tell me what's happening. Because it really just is like a player feedback thing. There's just no like it's actually deceiving. You think you're fine, like it you hit the mine, you receive damage. There's a blurry effect. You check your status. You can see that these parts are damaged. So naturally, you're gonna heal them up. But if you hit it again, you insta die. So the first thing it just taught you is completely irrelevant. You know, the first loop is just like
yeah,
completely irrelevant. It's so stupid, dude. So fucking stupid.
yeah.
I can't stand. I just can't stand shit like that, dude. Like, why they even
I mean,
play this raid, dude? What a
how much
waste.
Lighthouse? I mean, do you play Lighthouse normally, or is
I
this
played it a
you've
bit,
actually? Okay,
but I mostly went to the road camp because I just rather. I don't know. There's like a weird thing where it's like you can do loot runs in the like chalet area, but I don't really. I'm not really a fan of getting sniped at. I had a couple. I did do some sniping for fun, which was
hmm.
kind of fun. Like I was messing around with the VSS and Val as a
Oh
sniper.
God,
It was really bad, but
paintball.
yeah, dude, it's so bad, man. But I did manage to kill someone from like 300 meters. Like it was just pure
Oh,
RNG because the accuracy cone is just way too wide at that distance.
yeah.
But he had no clue where he was getting shot from. It was just hilarious. I'm just pew pew. So yeah, I mean, I played it. I like the road camp part because it's very like linear and um, if I'm gonna get sniped at, it's only gonna be from like the mountainside usually. You can kind of like play around that in the rogues and get in, get out type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, because I've been learning a little bit of that more recently, and I had like a 12k XP game with the rogues. Finally managed to kill a bunch of them. Didn't actually go in and loot, but I think because man, things most of them on the roof, and there was still some left, and so I just had to go. But it is what it is. I mean, XP is more valuable anyway than the other stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's tricky. It's a different vibe though when you're doing that because you might get attacked by players, but maybe not as well. And it's sort of chill in some ways. A bit more,
Yeah.
peek here and peek there. I can imagine it gets quite dull after doing it for a long time. But I played maybe I don't know, under 10 raids of this kind of thing, like learning it and
Uh-huh.
experiencing it. And I just keep running into people on the way all the time, just constantly around the back hills and running into people. So I had that one raid where it was like kind of clear. I managed to go and kill the rogues and actually shoot at them properly for a bit. Um, because normally it's a bit more tricky. But yeah, it's difficult. At least as you were saying with the VSS, the at least it's subsonic, sure, but at least it's zeroed to the subsonic rounds. So you can at least trust the zeroing a bit more than if you're trying to run something else subsonic, I guess. But yeah, it's not really. They've nerfed those guns so much. They're not really usable.
Yeah.
Maybe semi, maybe just on semi as like a short range DMR. It just doesn't make sense. I don't really see where it fits. There's so many other better guns that you can use at the moment for that particular kind of use case.
It sucks because you can't even get them for like a decent price. I mean, the AS Val is 100K
Hmm.
plus, and then the VSS is the same price for. I don't know why. Like the market price is just really high on the VSS. It's not like anyone
Yeah,
uses it.
exactly. I don't really know. I don't really know why. I don't really know why. But yeah. So you said that you haven't you stocked up before, but you hadn't actually played. I mean, at least you did the I don't know, the thing that you're supposed to do. You know, you prepped
Yeah.
for the event and then just didn't really play. I kind of popped on and I bought a few things. I don't think I spent that much because you said, oh, you know, prepping with like 10 million. It's actually quite hard to prep with 10 mils worth of stuff now because you can't just buy endless things off the
Mhm,
flea of the
mhm.
high tier items. So you've got you know, 3 of this and 2 of this before you're out. If you don't want to sit there for a couple of rounds, and I think I did 2 rounds of some stuff. I bought like a bunch of MP7s and a load of ammo and a load of you know gazelle armors and the things like that. So I did buy some stuff,
Yeah.
and I did yesterday's stream late on because, as you saw, I was trying to upload this lore video to get it out before anything changes again because I got super confused and I just wanted to piece everything together. But it took a long time for it to upload, so I ended up being on a bit late. But I was playing in the scarcity event, which was kind of fun. But I think the thing is, I was not sure how it was going to go, so I was just chilling, just sort of taking it real easy, playing. I think I pretty much did. I play customs the whole time, pretty much. I don't remember. I don't remember if I played any other maps. I pretty much only played customs, and I just wanted to like wander around, just like loot some stashes, see if there's any people. Ended up getting into some interesting fights, but ones where primarily I was fighting or shooting at them without them knowing where I was first,
Mhm.
and it was like there was some good stuff. It was okay, but what happened was because I've been stocking up, or I'd stocked up so many on those samurai armors, all the while back when I did that video like 2
Yeah.
weeks ago or something, and I still have them, and they still keep coming back in insurance.
Do
So I
they?
was like, well, let's just run this because if people are going to be struggling with ammo or they've run out their good ammo, then this armor's going to come in like real clutch. It's going to be crazy. And I think I went through 2 of them
Mm.
or something, and I still had it at the end. I lost a sort of medium SA58 that I was using, and after that, I think I was just running the SR25. I was running some like biggish guns anyway, and it was really not a problem because of the little bit of stocking that I did and the very very little dying that I did. I think I died once in the whole stream, so it ended up not really mattering. All I was doing was every raid just go back into the stash, top up with M62,
Yeah.
and then go back into raid again. So it really didn't matter that much, and I was keeping the food topped up from stashes and whatever. So I was like, it feels kind of fun to be playing in the scarcity event with the gear and to be kind of sustaining, but at the same time, I don't really feel like the pressure or anything because I didn't end up dying. Well, I'm not sure if I was. Obviously, I'm not pleased that I didn't die. I'm glad that I didn't die very much,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that would have really have been the only thing that would have forced me to do stuff because I was sort of excited to clear through the various guns and try to piece them together. So, well, now I've only got this and I don't have any more attachments and whatever. But I think because of like the various videos that I've done, I've got like a ton of suppressors and a ton of random
Right,
guns
right.
around, lying around and like attachments for days and ammo for everything. And I'm not like a mega, I'm not the guy who has 10,000 rounds of BP, you know, but
Mhm.
I've got 300, 400 rounds of like everything
Mhm. Yeah.
and attachments for most things and enough just fully built guns. What I thought was quite funny is that there was a couple of people, I think maybe Hayes put up a stream saying, sorry, a post on Twitter saying he had all these meta guns, but none of them had pistol grips and he couldn't buy any, so he couldn't use any of them, which I thought was really funny.
Oh.
And these days, I'm quite lazy with my stash space and I don't really take them apart particularly. So I had these guns fully ready to go. Some of them I didn't have enough mags for, which was primarily the problem.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was the RFB. Sorry, I was using the RFB. That was what I was using. I was using the RFB, and it was great. It was really good. So because I bought like a whole load of RFB mags, I bought about 10 or something beforehand, and yeah, it did serve me well. I lost one foul, and then used the RFB for the rest of the time. Didn't die with my big old samurai armor, just plodding around the map, just picking people off. It was good. It was good. It wasn't too bad, but I don't think it necessarily had the intended effect. Did you? Important question. Have you donated to the cause? How is that
I
going for you?
did
How much money do you have?
donate. Um, well, before I bought stuff, I had like 20 mil plus. I don't remember exactly how much I had because I ended up buying an items case, which I kind of regret because I was basically just organizing, trying to get my stash
Mm,
more organized and clean. Um, and then I did like a couple rounds on some trader resets, like meta grips, meta pistol grips. I was like, you know what, mags are going to be important because those are like the things you forget. And a couple sights and lasers, and I didn't actually have that many guns built. So I
mm,
built a couple that I could, and yeah. So I ended up with like 15 mil ish, and then I donated 5 mil. I think is what I'd end up donating because I think I'm around like
Okay.
9 mil right now.
Right.
Um,
I think that's fair. I mean, I know Pesty put up
yeah,
a tweet basically saying if people aren't going to go down to at least 10 or something, then you're not pulling your weight or whatever. And like me and chat were talking about it during the stream, and I had 47 yesterday when I started the stream, and I'd left it. I didn't do anything because I was like, we can just decide together. And everyone was like, oh, you should do like at least half or something. So I put in 25, I think. So I went from 47 down to 22 or so, or to 24, something like that, around
hmm
there. And then today, when I was just messing about, actually, after I set everything up here, I then was like, I've still got so much here, and the goal seems to have accelerated a little bit, and people are really going for it. So I stuffed another 10 mil in. So now I've got like 14 or 13 mil. I'm like, okay, this is probably decent for now. I've like given away like 80% of my
yeah,
cash, which I think is fine. But it's one of those things that it doesn't really matter because the money's sort of still going up, and you can make quite a
right.
lot of it now because Fence is paying such an insane amount for everything. I don't know if you saw Bitcoins. He
Yeah,
buys them for like
Bitcoins.
350.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of the other. It's almost like the sort of best of all the traders plus a bit extra. It seems to
hmm
be that he's buying things for whatever reason. I mean, I guess it's just to help people with actually getting to
trying
the
to get people
the
to do the
exactly. I mean, I wonder whether it's like it's less of getting people the money to donate and more of making people feel comfortable that they can make some money or that the money's rolling in. So they think, oh, well, my trajectory is so steep in terms of cash inflow that
yeah.
I can just give it away because it'll come back. It's fine. And
Well,
I think maybe it's more psychological.
that definitely could be it too. But the thing that caught my eye was there was a tweet put out from I think Dan Exert where he underlines I got it right here. He showed the money collected and left it collect, and the last three digits, the hundreds, the tens, the ones, they were all they weren't zeros, right? Whereas the scav
Mm.
case is all, even zero numbers, like, 100,000, 20,000, a million rubles, right? So like there has to be some, I don't know if it's like car extracts. There's people talking about if you leave stuff in marked circles that counts towards it. I don't know. Stuff selling the fence, repairing armor with fence, like does that stuff go towards this collection? I don't fucking know, but something's got to be affecting that. Otherwise, you would expect those numbers to be rounded, right?
Yeah, I think the marked circles thing. I think I read something on Twitter saying that was confirmed that the marked circles do actually work, but you have to make sure that it doesn't get taken out, obviously, before the end of the raid, which is quite funny.
Weird.
So apparently that does work from what I read anyway. I don't think I'm making that up. I don't think anybody knows where the fence works. I don't think there's any way of finding that out. But I agree there's something else going on. Either that or the whole thing is just a big hoax and it's not
Yeah.
actually counting rubles at all, which is, you know what, it's plausible. And some people were saying, well, no, because you look at the trajectory of the money and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you could probably randomize it enough to make
Sure.
it look reasonable and put a few big inflows and stuff in. They could tweak with the numbers themselves manually too. But I don't know. I think that's at this stage, I think that's less likely. I think it probably is counting everything from the scav case and things from the marked circles. I don't know about fence, to be honest with you. I'm not sure.
It's really hard to test this
Maybe.
stuff. Like,
Yeah, we just don't know, and it
yeah.
doesn't update fast enough for you to be able to tell. Even if you dumped an entire stash worth of stuff into fence, like 45 mils worth or whatever, you still wouldn't be able to tell because the number doesn't update fast enough, and there's so many people on. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking an insane amount, right? It's like 1.4 trillion rubles, of which we've where are we at right now? Are we like 700 or something like that?
Probably, yeah, probably. We're
I actually
probably
forget.
very
Let me see.
close
Let me
to
just
the
refresh this. Oh no, 833.
okay.
Oh no, sorry. Money collected 666. Sorry, it's left to collect 833. So
666.
666 538 721. Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting. So at this point right now where we're sat, obviously this will be a bit delayed for those who are listening on the podcast platforms and on YouTube, but like right now where we're sat, we've just met that first goal, which was the 600, and the flea market has come back, but none of the traders have yet. So that's where we're at. So we're gonna have to see. But I mean, this has been the whole build up around the event with the law, what's going on, the lightkeepers extorting everybody, presumably. I wasn't sure exactly whether it was what the trader electronics thing was about, whether it was supposed to be the other traders were kind of trying to get in on his turf or something, maybe because he was missing. You know, the trader wasn't there, so they were like, "Oh, we can do the electronic stuff ourselves." And then he's come back and said, "No, I'm going to extort you all." I was wondering whether that was maybe the undertone or the idea they were going for, or maybe I'm thinking too much about it entirely. But that's the position we're in. So the trader's being extorted,
Mhm.
and everybody has to pitch in together basically to pay him the money
Yeah.
to end whatever is going on, and then after that, who knows, right? Who knows? I guess we should may as well cover that now, right? I don't think there's going to be a wipe. I think that we will get the Lightkeeper and the Lighthouse expansion. That's been my stance the whole time so far. I'm actually less certain about no wipe than I was, but I still think there's going to not be a wipe. I don't think we're getting the first iteration of Streets, but I also don't think that there's going to be nothing. That's my position.
Yeah. I mean, that seems pretty reasonable to me. No tinfoil crack pipes here.
I just don't really see it. But yeah, now that because it's more of an economic reset than it is anything else. I do think, and Dan posted something else that I was thinking about that I commented on Twitter as well, saying that maybe what if there's some kind of punishment for people who don't give away their money? And I was wondering whether I think people without the scav case could probably be excused because for them they don't really have the ability to take their rubles in because you can only take so many in, right? Like the scav case or sorry, the
Yeah.
scav or the cult circles thing is a bit flawed because you can only take so many rubles in because of the RMT restrictions in the game.
Right.
So it's like, how are you supposed to dump all your stash? So I think anybody without the scav case would have to be excluded. But I can easily imagine some kind of system that is like inversely proportional to the amount of money that you had when the event started versus how much you have at the end, and then that gets allocated towards Lighthouse trader rep or some kind of punishment, or it's the amount
Mhm.
of money, like all the money then gets, maybe a small portion of money gets redistributed, or some loot gets redistributed like inversely related to how it is. Maybe everybody's remaining cash gets deleted completely or something. I don't know. And then something gets distributed depending on how much you give. Who knows? I mean, that's proper tinfoil hat theory, but I don't. I can see it happening. I don't think that it will happen, if that makes sense. But it would be fun. I think it would be quite fun to punish people who don't actually give the money in if they have the ability to do so. It would be quite fun. That would be so. And I'm a little bit scared of that, and so that's one of the reasons why I was like, let's shove another 10 in, just to make sure. I don't really need it, so let's just shove another 10 in.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be funny if they did that, but I don't know if they will or won't. I mean, it's definitely I wouldn't put it past BSG. Did you see Pastelli calling out, like jokingly calling out some people like Dr. Lupo and Landmark?
Oh yeah, when he
Because
tweeted saying, "These guys have got so much money. What are you doing? You know,
they
I'm
haven't.
disgusted to see these people."
I don't know about all of them, but I'm pretty sure Dr. Lupo hasn't donated anything. Like it's just a meme at this point.
Yeah, his is definitely a meme. I know Landmark said he didn't even have the scav case because I don't think
Oh
Hyper
yeah,
had the
that's
scav
true.
case either.
Yeah, like why would these guys even? Yeah, like I don't. Yeah.
They don't even bother. But with Lupo, I think he's playing around with it. I've not been keeping up because I've actually been here and there at the minute,
Mhm.
which is why I'm in a different location for all of you who are watching with video. But I did see a post that popped up where, and I don't know whether this actually happened or not, but I saw that there was something on Lupo's where he got sent a message in game. Did
Oh,
that actually happen for real, or is that just a joke? Like,
I
did they actually send him a message
I
in
think
game?
Lakita or whoever, someone actually messaged him in game. Yeah, which is like it was like the
Like system with
yeah
the
yeah.
exclamation point, and it's like, yeah,
I forget what it said.
give us some of the rubles or else, something
Yeah,
like that.
it's hilarious, dude.
Super
Yeah,
funny, super funny.
that's cool.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good jokes. It's good jokes. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what happens. Hard to know at this point. It seems like the event is going to take a couple of days, as we said. So we're at 666. We need to get to a total of 1.4. So we're not even halfway. It's going to take a bit longer to get there,
But wasn't one
and then
of
we'll just see
the
what happens.
dates like on one of the letters like May 1st? Was it May 5th? Can't remember. But there
Yeah.
was like
So
a
there was
date
the
that was
UN
left there.
note.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a May the 1st date on the UN note, and then there's also a 5.4 at the bottom. So some
Yes.
people were saying like 1st of May might be important, maybe the 4th of May is important because I think it was Hayes and Tweak who pointed out that the bottom left code where it says EV 4.5, which
Mhm.
presumably is the date, and then in brackets W. And the last time we saw brackets W was the wipe for 1211. when there was a note saying there's instability, blah blah blah, we're de-escalating and seizing everyone's guns and whatever, and that notice then meant the wipe was happening, and then that was it with the W in brackets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. I don't know how much we can read into these things, but
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it could be. It could be. It could be a wipe. Who knows? It could be a wipe. But I
Well,
just
I
I just
just
think it's unlikely because I don't think that they would drop Lighthouse expansion and the new trader and the new bosses and the first iteration of Streets all at once and so
yeah,
early. I don't think there's any need for them to do that.
yeah,
They already kind of struggle for pacing of content, so that would almost be shooting themselves in the foot with it. Probably shooting themselves in the face by doing that because people have been waiting for some of this stuff for such a long time. They would be perfectly in their right to release the Lighthouse stuff and keep the Streets things under wraps and test it a bit more, or do some more work on it, or whatever, get ahead of themselves so they're not under such pressure. I don't really see what the point of them releasing all of that stuff is. And I don't think that they're going to wipe until they release the Streets first iteration. And I think that is sooner rather than later. Kind of as per Nice Guy's comment that he made in his chat in the first place. The reason why he said it could be a wipe with Streets, well, not necessarily a wipe, but it could be Streets iteration in the first place because the last time that we saw it fully playable with players on it was 11 months ago, and they've been working on it non-stop since then. So it's going to be in an even better state than it was. So it's probably quite close to release. I don't know. So I don't quite buy into it that that's going to come now just because of timing, but it probably is pretty functional at this stage. You would hope anyway. You would hope. Um, yeah, I don't know. So I just don't think it's gonna. It just doesn't make sense to me. That pattern doesn't make sense to me in terms of releasing what when and
yeah.
what they need to do.
I was just more interested in the. I mean, I saw that from Hayes, but I really didn't give it much credence because the numbers really didn't make sense as
Mm.
compared to the other one where it literally said 12.11. It was like
Yeah.
4.50, which just doesn't really, yeah, whatever that means. But the part that was interesting is it has at the last paragraph, it's like May 1st, Deputy Head of Department for Control and Supervision of the Area of Responsibilities of the Untar Contingent of A. Visor. But the date
Mm.
May 1st, what I wonder is that a deadline? If the goal is not met, then something bad happens, like an even worse outcome than the traders being gone and whatnot.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. There's some. There's some kind of. Have you watched all of Nice Guy's videos
A
until now?
bit.
Did you watch the latest
Sometimes I
one?
scrub. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, I'm not sure whether we want to talk about it because he was revealing some potential spoilers. Um, maybe because yeah, there was apparently a letter that got flashed up
Oh,
on the
right.
page very quickly. Did you see about that?
I did, but I can't recall the details. I do remember him talking about
Yeah.
that.
Maybe we'll do exactly the same because so he something popped up that he didn't think should have been shown.
Yeah.
It was removed pretty quickly, so maybe the wrong asset went out or something
Mhm.
onto the page. And he then, I think we'll just deal with it exactly the same way as he did. He said, "There's potential spoilers. If you're enjoying the story and you don't want any spoilers, then stop listening for a minute because it's we might be shortcutting some of the story or whatever." He tried to ask BSG whether it was intentional or not, and they didn't say anything to him. So he said, "Well, fine, I saw it, so I'm just going to tell everybody." So if you don't want any spoilers, then skip forwards probably like a minute or something or 2 minutes. I don't know, but basically, you ready?
I'm ready.
Everyone who skipped is gone. Everyone who skipped is gone. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Yeah, so basically there was like the bloodstained note that appeared, and I actually hadn't seen this when I made my video. There was like a bloodstained note that was on there, and something maybe to do with a trader being killed. Now he seemed to have a translator who'd said that there was some argument or something between some of the traders, and that someone had actually ended up like being killed or whatever. I saw a comment on his video basically saying, no, you've mistranslated it. Someone was just saying, like, where a trader dies, there's lots of loot available, something like that. So I don't really know if it's actually the truth or not, but that got snatched away really quickly. So he was like, well, whether that's intentional that we only saw it for a split second and a small amount of the community saw it and then now it's gone, it doesn't seem likely to me. But it seemed to foreshadow something later. So maybe that's the thing, because you just reminded me when you said maybe something bad would happen. Maybe one of the traders gets murdered
Permanently.
or something by the
Yeah.
lightkeeper and permanently killed. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's part of the story. I was wondering, what happens if lightkeeper kills one of the traders, takes over their items, and now you have to go and find them in, maybe it's Peacekeeper or somebody. You have to go and find them in raid to go and actually get all of the Peacekeeper type items, any sort of Western gear, that sort of thing. I don't know. Who really knows? But that was kind of interesting. And was like one piece of sort of lore that I'd missed out on, because clearly you had to be there within the, I don't know how long it was up for, maybe a minute or something, and you had to have seen it at the moment. But it apparently got posted into his Discord, and that's how he saw it. And clearly I hadn't seen it, because what I was doing with my videos, I was scrubbing through all the different data sources, the official Discord, Nikita's posts, the EFT Twitter, because sometimes Nikita just posts something, sometimes it's on the Discord, sometimes it's on, oh god, it's like sources all over the place. But I don't know. So we'll see. But there seems to be more beef to come. I mean, that would be kind of interesting to have sort of a player-driven global storyline. If not enough people give in stuff, and then the storyline changes permanently in one direction, like the fork. Nikita has an idea for the story, and it actually just forks in one way, and that's it.
That's really cool. Stuff like that's really cool. For
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. I can definitely see Nikita doing it, right? Because he's just like, well, sometimes you just suck and bad things happen. Like he's like that. That's his philosophy about the game sometimes, and about about players. It's like, oh, people are able to get their scav karma back, and he's just like, sometimes you just suck, and that's it. What did he even say on that podcast once? He said sometimes you're just born with some kind of like debilitating disease, and it just sucks for you. Just like, man, he has such like a bleak outlook.
The very what's the word? Eastern European, dystopian outlook.
Maybe, I don't know. To translate that into the game though is kind of like, yeah. But anyway. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I don't think. I mean, is there anything else particularly to talk about with the actual event? I mean, we're sort of in wait and see mode. People are decrypting the Morse code as it comes through, trying to look at all the numbers.
The numbers,
There's
Mason.
Conspiracy theories. I love that he posted it.
Yeah.
I love that Nikita posted the numbers, Mason. What does it mean? But it looked like he was cheering us on, right? Because he posted saying, "That's my boys. You got your flea back," kind of thing, which is quite funny.
What do you think about the community outcry over the event?
I think it's really stupid. I think it's I just think it's really stupid. I don't. The thing is, it's 5 freaking days, right? Like just chill out. If you don't like it, just don't play, whatever. And it's, to be honest, it's not like the game is unplayable. The people that I feel the worst for are people who've just picked the game up. I don't really feel sorry for any veterans of the game who don't like the event, because they can just not play for 5 days and it's fine. We've had there's been lots and lots of discussion. We've had a ton of discussion in my Discord as well about the topic, and people on both sides. And it's yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the more heated debates that's kind of gone on in the community for a while. But I don't really feel sorry for experienced players of the game, because they knew it was coming, and then I guess you could be annoyed because you don't want the event to be the way it is, and it prevents you from playing the way that you want to play. But that's sort of the way that Tarkov is. I don't mind like big things, good or bad, turning up and just smashing up all our expectations of what it is to play the game, and just doing random stuff, and especially if they're short lived as well. Because the worst case is that you just don't play for 5 days and that's it. Some people had problems with not being able to do your tasks. And I do agree, right? From a pure game design perspective, the game is supposed to be more hardcore in the sort of scarcity way. Probably not like it is now, because the event has got flaws, sure. But you're still supposed to have tasks and things to work on. I think some people who, and I do see this, some people who rely on the tasks and the dailies and that kind of thing, and are sort of not casual players, but sort of just like mid-level players who are just grinding their way through and working up. That's really what they're working towards and working on. And so when you complete something and then you can't hand it in, and then there's nothing else to do, you're thinking, well, I want to play, but what am I going to do? And you kind of take your cues from the game and the quests, and this is probably true for the first 3 wipes, at least I would thought, because I found myself playing more freely probably after wipe like 4 or 5 or something, because the quests are just like, yeah, I'll just do them incidentally, but I'm more focusing on getting better at reserve, or getting better at this particular piece of the map, or using this particular gun, and just trying out different things in that respect, rather than going through the quest because we've done them 5 times or whatever. So other than the ones that we haven't done on Lighthouse, I mean, they're all kind of the same though. So I think that allure for doing the quests, especially because you can get to max level traders without doing them all, it just, I'll work on them passively in the background, because I don't have any real desire to get to Kappa, especially not this wipe. And so I'll just passively work on them, so it doesn't really bother me, because most of the time I just end up wandering around the map, just playing the game anyway. But I get it. I do see it. I do see it. But yeah, the experienced players I don't really have much sympathy for, because yeah, you could prepare for the event in advance. You
Yeah.
might think it's stupid, but it's only 5 days, so just chill, or just either enjoy the game and chill, or don't play for 5 days and chill. Like it's no great hardship either way. So I do feel sorry. There was a post on Reddit that I thought was super funny from someone, and they were like, "Are you serious? Like I bought the game like 1 day ago, and now I can't. I literally can't buy anything." And there's like it's just the whole thing's completely messed up. I was like, yeah, that would be tough. Can you imagine? It'd be so confusing
Yeah.
turning up into EFT in
See,
the middle of an event like this.
that's
But
the
it's
thing
such a
that
small minority of the population.
but see, that's the thing that really bugs me though, is like if you're not aware that BSG does their events, updates, and news on Twitter, you know what I mean? It's not even like on their main website. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
and part of that makes me wonder if that's like like a marketing strategy, like if they're looking to, yeah. Part of that makes me wonder about that. I don't know, but yeah, that part really bugs me because like those, even if you were just like one quest away from Kappa, dude, and it's just like the next day you log in and you just can't, you're locked, and it's like, what's going on? All it says is trader's not available. Like you don't get any explanation. Like you could easily report it as a bug. You know what I mean? It's just like
Mm.
there should be something in the game, like just something, dude. This isn't, even if it's like a link to the Twitter and embedded in the game, like something, dude, something. But yeah, as far as like some people, I mean, if you're, if you're an experienced player and you don't like it, you don't like it, whatever. You know what I mean? But some of the people just like reading so hard, dude. Just like, I don't know. I kind of like it. Like, I'm just like siphoning their tears into like a jar, and I'm just gonna like. That's me being a little toxic, but like there is definitely people that I feel really, shitty for. Like I said, like the guy on Reddit you talked about, or
Mhm.
you're just not hooked into the social media platform. I don't know that part. God, I really hope they change it in the future. I don't know if they, like, that's the other interesting thing, is like in some ways they're not really incentivized to, because content creators do the news for them. You know what I mean? This is like a very Valve approach. If someone's like already doing it for free, like why would they invest the resources and time into doing it? It just like it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense really.
I kind of wish that they'd put the resources up, like on the main menu, there'd be like an info board or something, and
Hmm.
you'd at least get to see maybe the latest piece,
Hmm.
whatever the tweet is or whatever, and then that would be in there, because it would at least flag that something's going on, and maybe you'd go online to try and search what's happening. BSG do love this word of mouth thing, though. They've said before that that's the way that they like the game. They like hidden things. They like people saying, "Oh, I found a GPU in this spot,"
Yeah.
and people like spreading it word of mouth. That they like that kind of stuff, for better or worse. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
just what they like. Um, but yeah, man, look, I think the thing is, right, this is my take, right? You enjoy the event for what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
You can dislike the event,
Hmm.
and that's fine. It's okay to dislike the event.
Yep.
The event also has flaws. That's also fine. But just take the event at face value and just enjoy it. And yes, you can give your, I don't know, constructive criticism
Hmm.
about how the event should be improved in the future, and that's fine, because I have my own constructive criticism about the event. The problem is that firstly, it's been flagged, right? Which allows all the people with money to go and buy 10 million's worth of gear.
Right.
So it
Right.
kind of invalidates it for anybody who's,
Yeah.
I don't know, at the top end, which is, I always hate that. I wish that they skewed it around the other way. Like we were talking on the stream again the other day about, you imagine an event that, like, rather than removing the flea market, just like, it flipped everything around. So anyone who has level 4 traders now has level 1. They flip the whole thing. Everyone at level 1 has level 4. And anyone on the flea market, if you're over 15, you can't use it anymore. Just like random stuff like that. The
Hmm.
things but that actually turn the tide. It's like the water event. Didn't matter to anybody who could go
Right.
and just stock up on water.
Right.
But everybody who's under level 15 was just like dying of dehydration like every rate, and it really sucked, right? So I
Like.
feel that there's better things that they could have done, and I don't. The people saying that the timing's bad for this because it'd be more interesting to see it at the start of a wipe, and I agree with that. But I don't think the timing is necessarily terrible, because there's not that many new players coming to the game right now, and it's a
Hmm.
bit, well, it was. I mean, it was stale before, so a lot of people complaining that nothing was happening. Well, now we've got something happening at least. Whether you like it or not is another question. But we got something happening, and I like things to be happening. It's more interesting than not, and it's the process of what's going on. How do we adjust to this? That I enjoy doing. So whether or not it's good or bad for the player base or the game, like there's two separate arguments. There's me and my player character and me playing the game and enjoying the
Mhm.
game and the experience, and how does this event affect me personally and what am I going to do about it? That's enjoyable for me. And then there's a separate section which is what does this do to the whole player base as a whole? Is this a good event? Does
Right.
this fit? Is this sensible for everybody? Are some people completely effed by it? And
Yeah.
those two things I think are completely separate. So I always just enjoy the events just for what they are for myself. And then I try to have positive criticism and constructive criticism for the event overall to say it could be improved by doing X or Y or whatever.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that is, like, could they like, part of me was almost like, "Man, maybe they should scavs should come and steal stuff from your stash," but I think that, that might just be a little too extreme for a lot of people. Like, could you imagine that the Giga outcry? And then it's also kinda like, I don't know, you can make a realism argument, which God, I don't even dare do that, but, yeah,
Mm,
because that's the thing is, like, I almost, like, kinda regret doing what I did is, like, buying stuff because it's almost like I'm taking away the own like, I'm counter contradicting the event, by, like, prepping for it, but then at the same time, it is kinda like, if you're well prepared, yeah, I don't know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for sure.
yeah, I
Um,
think I think as a player, I think you're supposed to prepare, right? If they've given you warning, I think you're supposed to prepare. To not prepare just on purpose to try to make the event be more meaningful, I, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of that. I wish that they just dropped the event though. I wish they'd have just
yeah,
done it,
yeah.
and not said anything. And
I
that again,
kinda
that's the
would've
thing. It's
liked
like
that more.
yeah, it would have been better because people would have been like, "Oh no," because that would have really pulled the rug out because there's a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
assumptions that you make. Like, I can buy all the pistol grips, I can buy all ammo whenever I
exactly.
want from these various traders. Just yank that rug, and that hurts Chads a lot more because players lower down often can't buy that stuff anyway.
Well, it really
So
hurts the well, it equalizes it where people that aren't on 24/7 don't have a opportunity to go buy this stuff, because
yeah,
the whole trader
yeah.
metagaming, on resets. Like, I got 2
Yeah.
Zabralos just kinda by chance. I only spent, like, an hour and 30 minutes buying, and I had some junk to sell on the flea market too. But I managed to get another reset in, so that was kinda like a nice little reward.
Mm, mm, mm.
So anyways, I did see that, I was watching Airwing stream, and he started a new account during the event, and I was like, "Dude, that looks like so much fun, dude." I was like, oh man, I was like kinda tempted, and instantly I thought, I was like, "No, I can't do this. If I do this, Airwing won't see me for like 5 days. I'll be sucked into Tarkov."
Yes, I mean that's like an enforced hardcore because there's no traders,
Yeah, yeah.
no flea,
And I saw
no
some
tasks.
people like Nixia, she was just playing on her hardcore account. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is just regular." This is
Mm.
just yeah, this is perfect. Which is kinda cool. But yeah, one more thing I wanna talk about is the implications of this, I think are, like, really interesting because now like, let's say you didn't have any resources in your stash, like, you couldn't just loot anything, sell it, and then buy the thing you want. Like, that's a super strong that's, like, a really powerful utility. Whereas this is like, dude,
Mhm.
I gotta go to Shoreline. I gotta go first floor. I gotta hit these medical bags. I gotta get these meds for my next raid to prep up. It's like you're doing like mini tasks. You're like player driven um quest essentially. Yeah,
Yeah.
that part is like, and people were like, I noticed too. I looked at Fence. Fence had like a bunch of barter items, and like 5% of it was like weapon mods and like just like random like Saiga 12 shotgun mounts or, just like random like knickknacks. Nothing like that's anything useful because everyone's hoarding up those weapon parts because they're trying to build like these makeshift janky AKs, dude. Stuff like, dude. Oh, I would love like a happy middle ground between like traders and like going in the raid and finding really valuable stuff to
I agree
use
with you
in other raids.
100% on that.
Yeah, dude, dude, because oh my god, it just like changes the raid so much, dude. Like, you could instead of going interchange, running into the tech store like a maniac and lubing up my asshole to shove every Tetris and GPU up there, I might actually just try to get food for the next raid, and it just changes everything, dude. Oh,
Yeah, rather than selling one GPU and buying infinite Alyonka or not Alyonka, Tushonka.
right, right, So, and then
Mm.
like the barter implications too, because you couldn't trade. I mean, I don't want to sound like traders and flea markets should go away. I just think it's a little too heavily skewed on that side. Like those things are just really, really strong. But yeah, it just completely like changes barters, you know, like in some weird way too. It's like you see the downsides of it where at the time, like when it first came out, Fence wasn't given that much money. And what do you do with money? You can't do anything with it because I don't think the scav case was out just yet, if I'm not mistaken. Like, anyways, so your priority was like meds, ammo. Ammo was like a huge priority if you didn't have any, and guns and gun parts and gear and you know basically PvP stuff, right? Um, so there you can see the downside where it was like all those bar items were just completely useless. Like they had no value until they did the scav case thing. So there's definitely got to be a balance there to keep everything intact, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And this is the thing. It's like we're playing with no traders, no fleet, no tasks. I think keeping tasks is a good thing. I wish that
Mhm.
they hadn't gotten rid of the tasks. I really do because it doesn't really serve much purpose. And the whole idea of the traders, I mean, even from a law perspective, the traders are supposed to be shutting up shop. It doesn't mean that they uh, can't continue to give you like quests to
Quests,
do.
right,
So I don't.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah,
about it's
that's a
about
good
the
point.
economy really
Mhm.
rather than tasks. I mean, it doesn't need to matter in the law. It doesn't need to make sense in the law per se. I just
Right.
think from a gameplay perspective and the law, it's another one of those double doubles, right? It's like it makes sense from a gameplay perspective and a law perspective. So you may as well, like you can hit both easily. You may as well just do it because yeah, stopping people's tasks is just annoying. And the scarcity event works just fine without it. I mean, in some ways, it makes people value look through the dailies, look at what items they might get. You might get something good. That's
Yeah.
actually where the dailies are more powerful when it's scarce. It actually makes people really want to complete them, especially some of the hard ones. You think like, oh, it might be worth trying to find Rashala and shoot him in the head 3 times
Right.
across customs because I'll get some awesome thing that and
Mhm.
I can't get anymore. So yeah, I don't know, but it does feel like a middle ground is needed, right? It's like beforehand, just the unbridled. You have all the traders, you have the flea, you have all that stuff, especially towards the end game. And now being in that, you can't buy anything, and you're thinking about what am I going to do with these mags? So I need to go and find another magazine. I think
Yeah.
they need to they need to find that middle ground. I agree, and it's trying to like hone it down where I think it works for some things like food and meds and that kind of thing. But I do think for certain items like magazines or whatever, it's too difficult to unless you're getting them from a scav and they're compatible with another gun that you've just so happened to find. Like trying to find mags for like the AK 101, it's just
Yeah.
impossible. I have one in
'Cause
my
it's
stash and I was like, let's use this. And I was like, I don't have any mags for it.
yeah.
Um, so I was like, well, that's it. Well, yeah, I mean, technically, what I've got to go and kill Rishala or something, but it's not worth it to run that gun. So I don't know. Thinking through the progression paths of how people actually go and fetch this stuff,
Mhm.
I think would be kind of good rather than it just being random loot. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming, just trying to think how you'd
Yeah, yeah,
make
no, no.
every
For
item
sure.
accessible with some randomness, but without it just being you have to hit every single weapons case that you come across until eventually you randomly find it because every item is 0.01% chance, which makes up the whole of
Yeah.
100%. And it's like this time it's an MDR mag, and this time it's one for a Glock, and this time it's a 33 round for the Vector instead. It's like I don't know. They make it feel a bit more meaningful, but yeah, the player driven. I have to go here and I have to go get this stuff, and it's in a specific place. And I go to crack house to get the meds, and I go to
Mhm.
here to get the interchange to get the food or whatever. That's great. That's really good. So the more of that they can incorporate, the better. So I don't know. I think the event it's kind of onto something. It's been done in a bit of a funny, a weird way, but it's made us all think about things a bit more and about pistol grips and about the stuff that you just take for granted. And the game doesn't like people taking things for granted. So that's why it's kind of fun. It's like, well, now you've got to find a pistol grip to actually use your gun because you always assumed you could buy it and now you can't.
Yeah.
So so that's good. And that's what the event is about for me, really, despite its, some of the issues with its implementation, I think. And that's sort of the spirit of Tarkov in some ways. That's what I think of the spirit of Tarkov. Scrabbling around, trying to find stuff. It's like the pre-flee. If you pick up some decent gun when you're level 5, but you only have one mag for it, you're thinking, oh well, I need to go and get a few more mags for this before I can actually make it work. Or
Mhm.
yeah, it's good. It's good. And I think I said before, I'd be interested to have more of that kind of thing, where some of the rare guns in the game you only get pieces for them, and eventually you can pull them together. What I would really like is imagine this, right? Imagine that it's maybe not weekly, maybe it's like a special quest or something, and you have to go to Skier, and the quest reward is a weapon piece of your choosing. He'll like order it in.
Mm,
So you
that's
piece together
interesting.
parts
Yeah.
of like an Ash 12 or something, but you still just need, I don't know, you need like the foregrip or the handguard.
Right.
So you just go to Skier and you say, I'll do this quest for you, and the reward, I need this bit. That's the bit I need. And that shortcuts the very final, you're collecting all the pieces for all the different guns, the really high level stuff. And that shortcuts I just have to run this a million times until I eventually get it out of RNG. You take that final piece out by saying, okay, well, I can go and get it from Skier using this particular quest. And in that model, you'd have like really high tier guns that you don't really see. Things like the Mark 18, stuff that you just don't see at all at the moment. You have to complete the Sturman quest or whatever. Maybe you could find it in parts around the map. And like the mutant and things like that, It's not necessary to run those guns. It would just be cool. And it would take a lot longer and would feel that you really earned it. So when you use the weapon, it would feel great. I don't know. That's just a
Yeah.
random idea. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I like some of the things I've thought of is like, do you really want to have like on one extreme, you don't want to be in a spot where you can't use a gun because you're missing like one vital part. It's just like a 1% drop. So like part of me thinks like
Mm.
some of these like things should just be like on level one traders. Like I almost to the extent of like every single rail, like the M blocks, the things should just all be level one traders. Is it? But then again, I don't know. That's like a thing that BSG would have to figure out because there's a bit of a
Yeah.
you could kind of argue one way or the other, but it's like imagine you get the handguard. Then if you want to, let's say you have the handguard, it's like okay, I want to put a flashlight on it. I have a flashlight, but I don't have the mounts. But then in the inverse, it's like, okay, I have the handguard, I have the mount, but I don't have the flashlight. So there's like 3 steps. Whereas if like the handguard and the mounts were just like guaranteed, like you always can get the mounts from the trader. It's like, oh, I found the
Yeah.
handguard, I have the flashlight in my stash. Now this is like a 2-step process, an upgrade, something like this. But the other thing that really bugs me is the loot tables for the weapon crates, like you're saying. Like, I hate it when I loot a giant green container and there's a one single cell item in there, and it's like a B11 or a B13 mount. I'm just like,
Yeah.
dude, why is this like this? Like, I've always wanted them to do like a, I don't know, like maybe it's like a minimum maximum type thing. Like at the minimum, you can get 10 items out of 20 cells or whatever, and at the maximum you can get 20 out of 20, like something like this where it fills up more cells. Because I don't know, it just feels really bad in the loot table. Like there's so many attachments, and that's kind of the thing is like I would like to take the mounts out of those loot tables and just put them on the traders. Like take the gas box out of the loot tables and just put them on the traders, like level one. Like they just have these things, or maybe something like you said, where you could just order a gas block for that,
Mm.
thing you need. I don't know, something to make the looting part be less RNG reliant, where you feel like you gotta hit every freaking weapons crate to find that one single part you need just to run your stock AK. Like, dude, that would suck. Like, you spent 5 days just to run a stock AK? I don't know. That's a little too for I think for me at least, that would be a little too extreme, but
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to like take the edge off just the pure RNG, and we're trying to make like hardcore plus. It's like some middle ground
yeah,
between
yeah.
hardcore and what we have now. Yeah, and I think that would be okay. For the really high level parts. I mean, you could even they have a rarity system in the game already. You could categorize the different guns even with that rarity. So, the high level skier quests, yeah, you can order any part you like for any gun. But maybe from the level one traders, you can order in any of those parts. It just will take 6 hours to arrive, something
Mhm.
like that. So you can get the rails or whatever if you want to. It's just not going to arrive instantly. So it's free. It's freely available, but you just have to wait a bit. Maybe not six
Okay.
hours. Maybe an hour or something.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but
That'd be interesting.
well, you could have a that's like a, do you wanna spend the opportunity cost of ordering that rail for however many time, or you wanna try to find out on your own in the raid? So you sorta have that
Yeah. Well.
decision to make,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
There's a
Exactly.
lot of
So
ways you
I
could
think
slice it.
there's ways of doing it, and there's ways of having that kind of, yeah. It gives you then the player choice to say, well, I think I can go and get it, or I'm not really that bothered, or
Mhm.
yeah, I'll order it in and I'll wait for it, and it feels much more deliberate then. And you also, as we said, you cut away that bit of the RNG. You say, oh, well, I've been waiting for this for ages, so I don't think I'm going to get another one, or I've pieced together this gun. I just need this one last bit, so
Right, yeah.
I'll just go and grab it from the trader because it'll be much faster than me running 10 different raids across a week
Mhm.
trying to find it in these crates, and it makes it much less annoying, but still feels like you're invested and have to wait a little bit or whatever. I like this. There's so many things that could be done,
Yeah,
so many things. But I think more scarcity is the way. I
think
do think
so
it's the
too.
way. It makes people more. It makes people just play the game more deliberately and make it more
'Cause
interesting.
I would be
Um,
fine sitting in a bush for 10 minutes waiting on the other guy to make a move when scarcity actually matters, but when it doesn't, I just, like, can't care, so I just end up pushing and dying anyways, which is, like, fine, whatever, for him, maybe it matters more, but I just don't know what to do. I'm just, like, at a loss. That's why it just becomes literally Call of Duty Plus at the end of the wipe for me every time, and I don't know how else to solve it other than challenging myself in some form or manner, so it is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. Indeed, 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 indeed. Um, yeah, there was a bunch of screenshots that they posted. I don't think we touched on this yet, but they posted a bunch of screenshots. I mean, I haven't really looked into some big analysis on exactly what it was, but there's a couple of different. There's a suppressor coming. It looks like it's mounted on the Scar maybe, and then there's a new scope. There's what's this one called? Funnily enough, is the name to the um, Swamp Fox Trihawk Prism Scope, which is
Mhm.
quite funny because everyone's like, "Oh, Swamp Fox free item," just accidentally. It's quite funny. Um, and a few other bits and pieces, but it doesn't look like anything groundbreaking. It's just
Yeah,
the usual
right.
Tarkov increasing the number of these mods to make the RNG even more brutal. I think it's probably one of the problems actually with EFT and the way that its loot system
Yeah,
works
I
because
just, like
yeah, there's so many parts. It actually works against itself because it's so
right.
many different bits that you could get.
Your
Um,
one-on-one example is fantastic because not only are the mags there's only 2 mags for it, that just makes it even more insanely difficult because the loot table itself is so massive and there's, like, 2 out of, like, 10,000 different things you have.
yeah,
Whereas, like, a AK handguard, it's a little bit bigger, it's probably like a 500% increase than, trying to find a 101 mag. But 500% increase of, 0.001. We're talking chance to pull the thing you want. So yeah, I'm gonna say it again one more time just to nail it home, dude. But I really think they should change it- some of the loot tables because I even think like maybe you could do like filing cabinets, for example. They have like a logical loot table, like you would find things you expect to find in filing cabinets, quote unquote. So maybe they could like the small weapons crates, the long square ones, you could find like
yeah,
assault rifles and SMGs, and maybe like magazines, and then like the bigger ones, the 4x3, you could find like armors, mods, maybe certain guns, maybe not certain guns, maybe it's just like armor mods, things like this. And then the really big ones, just like top tier guns, top tier mods, top tier armors, something to make it a little bit more interesting, but yeah,
mm,
anyways, I don't know. That's the rant over for me.
yeah. That's the thing. Like quite a lot of stuff would need to change if they were to change the model, and the loot tables would need to change as well. I
Yeah,
think Tarkov's just it's so barter item selling,
it's ruble meta.
trader buying
Yeah,
centric
yep,
than it is finding the stuff yourself
yeah,
centric. And I do think that needs to be pulled back a bit. I don't mind selling stuff to buy things, but it's less interesting because you can buy, well, less so now, right? But you could buy anything you wanted. Now you can buy stuff to a certain degree, not the top tier ammo because it's banned off the flea market, and or you need to get up to the trader rep for that. But that's we only just brought into the fringe, but we know the game, we know the way that the game is going. Nikita's doing the boiling frog thing. He doesn't want to suddenly slap the player base with this Tarkov
yeah,
right now for all eternity. He's slowly gonna crank the handle, and we're just gonna get used to it over time. It's gonna get more like this over time for sure, for absolute sure.
yeah, and if I don't know exactly how it's gonna work, but I don't know if all the traders gonna become in-rate traders, but if that is the route they wanna go, that's something they wanna do, that definitely is a pullback on that selling ruble meta, a bit, so We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if all the traders will become in raid per se. The
Mhm.
way that I envisage it working in my head is traders sitting kind of between maps, or when you're
Yes.
entering and exiting a certain map, when they're on that map, then you can trade with them on that map, still in your stash,
Right.
but you can only trade with the subset that are within. Maybe there's an area of influence or something.
Mhm.
Maybe it's customs and
No, I could
shoreline
totally
on
see
and
that.
something else for like, yeah, for different traders. And maybe some traders are only in very specific places. Maybe Jaeger's only in woods,
Yeah.
and maybe prep oils across like a couple of different maps, something like that. So if you're exiting and entering those maps, because I still don't think it's going to go open world, right? I think it's going to be connected maps with restrictions, and I think those connections will be the bridges where you get access to different traders. And that's how I imagine it working anyway. That seems logical to me, because I don't think. Well, maybe they will bring them all in raid in the end. Who knows? But it seems unlikely to me, because the traders we have right now are more kind of like this ethereal force across Tarkov. And if you can kill traders in raid, then it doesn't really make sense to be killing the main characters like that. So I don't know how it'll be implemented. Who knows? We
Yeah,
will see.
we'll have to
But
see.
that's the way that I would imagine it. It's more like they exist within the overmap, so to speak, on the connection
Yeah, that's why
points.
I just cannot wait to see this Lighthouse trader and how it's implemented and what the mechanics are. That part's gonna be key for me going forward. Like that's gonna I, I'm sorry, VSG, but you're setting my expectations with this one. You know what I mean?
You walk up to him and it's just like it's the door kicking scroll wheel, but just endless. You just have to go down and just click the item that you
You're
want.
just
And if
your
you
camera's locked. You can't like you have to
yeah
like press a bunch of like escape a bunch of times. To exit the different sub menus. Someone's
yeah,
sneaking up behind you.
you're trying to get it. You hear them coming. You're trying to get out, and then like you click once and shooting through the head, and then you're like, oh no! And then the boss is right next to it. And then they all open fire and you die. That's the Tarkov experience right there. That's like
Oh my
iteration one.
god.
Uh, just a beta, guys.
Too funny,
Uh,
dude. Too funny.
uh, good times, eh? Good
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Good times. Ah, so I played some of my first duos the other day.
Oh yeah, I saw
Kind
with
of interesting.
a
Yeah, I
very
played a
cool
couple of hours
gamer.
with Mr. Geeksay.
Mhm.
It was good. It was good fun. It was good fun, dude. Playing in a duo is so different. If you once you played in solo for so long, I did actually warn him. I was like, my call outs are like non-existent. I don't know what anything is called, because I never have to explain it to anybody ever. And so it's even just like stupid things like running around reserve, and just the names of the map of the buildings aren't second nature. Like I know where
Yeah.
they are, but in the moment when you're like in the this one, the one with the thing, it's just like it's so tough.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
so difficult to get used to that stuff. But it was good. It was definitely an interesting experience to be going around as a pair and having to call people out. I do think that a good duo is probably one of the best ways to play in this game. Like it's so good. You have that force multiplication effect, but you don't have the comms of like an insane 3+.
Mhm.
So I mean, a duo is really, really good, dude. There was one actually. I've never seen this happen before. Have you ever seen this? We were at Shoreline, and he had this quest, this insane quest, and he had to kill scavs with the M67 grenades, the ones with the 5-second timer.
Mm.
And I was like, "How are you even going to do that?" He was like, "Oh, we're going to do it real easy. We're going to find the sniper scavs, and I'm just going to throw them on the roof." I was like, "Okay, all right." So we went to go and find the sniper
That's
scav in the middle of the map, and I was like, "That is genius, actually. That's pretty cool." And we got to the sniper scav in the center over by power. And I was like, where is this guy? What's going on here? I was getting shot at. I was like, what's happening? And finally managed to spot him as I leant around. And he was kind of like, he was doing the full ultimate super lean thing,
hmm.
but it got like bugged. And it almost looked like he was lying on his back with the most in, just like reloading, like glitched into the side
Okay.
of the building. And I was like, what is happening? And I was kind of laughing because I'd never seen this before. And it was really quite funny. And I was leaning around the corner, just trying to get another look at him because it just looked so hilarious. And then he literally just shot me straight through the head.
Oh my god.
And I wasn't expecting it at all. It was so funny because I really didn't think he was going to kill me because I was just like leaning around the corner. I
Yeah.
must have just gone a bit too far. And the way that he was just like doing some kind of trapeze circus thing, like upside down, like glitched into the building, and then he's just like one on, but just shot me straight through the face. I couldn't stop laughing, man. It was so funny. It was genuinely so funny. Uh,
How was
but
the sorry to cut you off there. How was the scav inertia movement stuff looking?
Oh, what? Because you haven't played a great deal?
Yeah, I have like, yeah.
It never really bothered me that much before. So honestly, I haven't really noticed, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
If I'm honest, like
it's true.
I haven't really been bothered by scav movement in general, and that probably means that they've done it right. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've not spent a long time looking at it, but at a quick glance, it seems pretty okay. And the encounters I've had with scavs have felt all right, because I think it did feel a bit strange at first, and there were lots of scavs doing very weird things. But it's felt all right more recently. Felt all right more recently. So yeah, I mean that's pretty good. I mean we'll have to see as they continue to improve these things. I think I've still seen scavs doing the weird thing where they like walk backwards and they're like looking in the air, like walking backwards and stuff, which is a bit strange, but at least they walk backwards at the same pace as us, and when they turn around,
Yeah.
they have to turn around like we do. So, that's fine. I've not really been going to fight any bosses or anything, so I've not seen like the aggressive raid AI, and I stopped playing Underground Reserve after finishing my MCX stuff for a bit.
Mhm.
I wanted to give it a little break. I got fed up of getting shot through the side of the head with BP, so I wanted to go do some other things. So I haven't seen that AI in the flesh that much. I
Okay.
have to say.
Yeah.
So, but it seems okay from the regular scavs that I've been playing against. It seems all right to me. So I'll have to, and yeah, I'll be thinking about it now. Now that we've brought it up, because I kind of forgot that they even did that. So
Mhm.
now that we brought it up, I'll have it in the back of my mind, and we'll just have to see kind of how it looks. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, that makes sense. I mean, human nature is kind of like something's like broken. It's like, the center of tension, whereas like if it's working as intended, you don't really pay any attention to it. So yeah, that kind of makes sense.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that sounds like a good thing.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now there was one other thing. I mean, I'm going to loop back around to the lore a little bit, just because there was one other thing that I was like musing about, which was basically the letters that we've seen so far all the way back. And the reason why I wanted to go back in the lore and do something on the whole thing was because I was wondering where all of this began, because I'd just forgotten. It seems like lots of people were a bit lost, I think, about what had happened when. And going all the way back to February, which is where my search kind of stopped, that's the first time that we see this Rizzy character, like potentially the redhead guy.
Mhm.
And some people don't care about the lore at all.
Mhm.
Some people really just couldn't care less about the lore. I don't know where you stand on it. I find it. I quite like it. I quite like the flavor, and like looking for like hidden links and stuff like that. I quite enjoy that.
I like how they're doing it. It's not something I would like dive into, like open up the link and like, transcribe the HTML file or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's like that's like something they would probably do, have like these. But I like, I can appreciate people that do that type of stuff. But I like that they're doing this type of stuff. If that makes sense.
It's kind of cool that they're doing it, and then the people who want to translate it or decode it or decrypt it or whatever do, and then everybody
Hmm.
finds out together. That's kind of neat. I quite like that. I was looking back because there was the mention of the ARRS terminal
Yeah, yeah,
again, which I was looking back again. The launch stuff was completely crazy. I mean, if you look on the wiki, you can see
yeah.
the riddle and like how insane it was. Like, yeah, it's absolutely mental. I kind of lost track partway through just reading the solution, and
Yeah.
there was like different parts to it, and there was all these notes people unlocked, and you had to go through all these crazy riddles to get to the end result. I don't honestly know how anybody managed to crack that, but it was interesting because they're sort of bringing that back, and there's all of this has got to mean something, surely. I just don't really know, because like we seem to be following the story of this Rizzy the Scav.
Is he a scav? Is
I
that
thought so.
well? I say that because I do recall him being listed as or mentioned as a local and one of the earlier letters. I want to say I can't.
I think he's mentioned as a local by the raiders in their note,
Yes.
because they say, well, we've got one of the locals tied up. He's trying to sell
Yeah,
us information.
which would
But
imply
doesn't
a
that just mean
scav.
scav? Yeah, I think he is, because I think his other compatriots are pretty scabby. And in the latest one, he's talking about stealing the bag of money, and he's
Mhm.
got some work moving money. So he's like working for the scav case, I guess. He's like one of the scavs on the scav case. So
Yeah.
that was the way I always interpreted it. And there's the lighthouse thing with the red scav, friend or foe,
Mhm.
and his name is Ginger and all this stuff, like in English.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny that we're following kind of the story of this like random scav guy rather than someone else. Like we're not following like a USEC or any
Right.
of the PMCs or anything like that, or a scientist from Terra Group or anything. It's just we're following some like random guy. Maybe it'll end up becoming more important. I'm not sure, but it's kind of funny the way that it's framed, these lore events. You've got Peacekeeper and other people talking, and then half of the notes have from him to random people. Um, so I don't know. I was hoping that I'd be able to unveil something, but sadly not. Sadly not. I thought something would open up. If I put enough .jpegs up on my screen at once with the translation. Like, dude, you
Yeah.
should have seen it actually. I put up a post on Instagram because I had the like the biggest monitor that I have that I don't actually use for gaming. I just like use it for editing and other stuff and like put stuff up on there. I had every lore note with the translations in its own individual notepad
No, I
up on the
watched your
screen from like
video.
the 3rd of February. Because I don't think I put that in the actual video. It was just on my Instagram post. I actually took a picture of the screen.
Oh,
It's just
did you?
like
Okay.
picture, 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 picture with all of the text because I was losing track. I was like reading through and I was trying to make notes and stuff, and I was like, wait, no, but when did this happen? And then I look at one of the pictures and I'm like, which one did this go with? Was this the one where he gets told this or this? Because obviously I can't read the letter. So so I ended up having to pair the translation with the picture to actually understand what was going on. It was driving me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was actually
You gotta
driving
have
me nuts.
the picture and then the translation, the link the two, and you could easily just like
Yeah.
one of the translations slides down a little too far to the wrong JPEG. That's funny.
Yeah. Exactly. I think there was actually one thing that I forgot to mention in the video that I wrote in my notes, but because I was kind of just like speaking, I just kind of forgot about it. And it's not really that important either. But there's this like Chep Schiller guy who Rizzy's writing to a lot,
Yes.
and it's interesting because clearly we're reading the letter
Hmm.
from the perspective of Chep Schiller, right? We're reading what Rizzy's saying, but he sent it to him. And I guess you could say, well, in theory, you could be reading the letter before Rizzy sent it, I suppose. But there's one of the letters to Chepshire where you can see the previous letter from Rizzy in the coat pocket. I actually forgot to mention that in the video. I've only just remembered
Oh.
now. So it is actually like it's Chepshiller's gun and Chepshiller's coat or whatever, because he's received the first letter and he's still got it in his pocket because you can see
Interesting.
part of the text on the side and it's a really obvious piece of text
Hmm.
and you can match that to the other letter and be like, okay, so and I look at little things like that. Like, dude, I
Yeah.
love little stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to be the guy to go and solve the ARS terminal. That's too far for me.
Yeah.
But I'll go somewhere in the middle. I'll go somewhere in the middle, and I like doing some little pattern matching, whatever. But I'm not going to be like dehashing ciphers and all this kind of crazy stuff. I'm no computer scientist, so none of that's going to happen. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the lore. I do. I really do.
Yeah, I like the
And I was
attention to detail and the like
yeah.
even you pointed out like skiers dialogue or what is writing like
Or like,
matched.
yeah, like his style or mannerisms or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, which I
I,
thought
I
was
thought
really
it was so
cool.
funny. Like, I'm not a pussy. No, I'm not
Yeah.
going to be this guy.
Yeah.
Because I went through a bunch of the trader flavor text at one point, and this was like ages ago, like literally years now, when I made
Mhm.
that storyline thing because I wanted to try and find some links. It was actually that story video from a long time ago was supposed to be more of like a like linking the lore kind of thing rather than necessarily just being a story, but it didn't really work, and so I just ended up reading like if you read all of the weapons, like the gunsmith ones from Mechanic, he just goes down this kind of like crazy path. But he talks about all sorts of things that are hinted here and there. He talks about like Ibambium ISP that people are using within Tarkov, or that Terra Group are using within Tarkov. And if you like look back to like the first post from Battlestate Games, there's this is actually something that's kind of creepy that I've never got a proper connection to. So there's something on the Scav, not Scav, the Hideout whiteboard.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a bunch of stuff there with like connections and things like that. And there's some references back to like this Ibambium ISP actually I think it might be on the Facebook. And there's the PMC just like holding a phone like this. And there's the logo, the circle with like the 3 little dots around it. And that's like the Ibambium ISP logo, which Mechanic is talking about. And if you go and look at the launcher, everybody's profile picture is the Ibambium logo. And it's
Mm.
never explained. It's like when you load the game up, that logo is the logo that comes up, right? And like it's never explained. Everyone just takes it at face value, but it's like some underground ISP network for like delivering data around Tarkov by Terra Group and stuff like this. I'm so excited for the story. Like, I know some people really don't care about the story, but I'm really excited for the story to see what happens, because I feel like now I've had like enough teasers to be really interested, but not know how to put any of it together because we only know 2% of the story.
Yeah, yeah.
So like all the little fronds, right? The story's like a big block like this in the middle. We know like all these fronds around the outside, and we're just kind of waiting. So it's the same reason why I went around all the maps, like looking through gaps in fences and stuff like this, because just like I'm a real nerd like that.
Yeah, it's cool. I can't wait to see, because I kind of agree with you. I think right now we're like on the very outskirts of the story, and I can't
Yeah,
wait to see what they do with the full story and how that plays into the gameplay. That's going to be really exciting for me. Oh.
yeah, man. Yeah, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be real sick.
So I watched Deadly Slob YouTube video playing DayZ,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Dang, that looks like a lot of fun." Dude, it's so cool, man. He was like RPing, I guess you could say, with just two strangers. And they were like
Mhm.
cannibals. They were all like just a bunch of cannibals, and they would meet other people and like try to like bring him into the fold, and then eventually they would just not be accepted and they would have to consume them to survive. And it was pretty cool. And eventually it was like, you know what? He's talking to his chat. He's like, you know what, guys, I think I'm gonna break off and have some adventures of my own. And then he said their goodbyes to his fellow companions, and some shenanigans went on, and they parted ways, and some good old RP storytelling. And
Cheers.
he so Deadly was like approaching the shack. He was just like, yeah, talking to this chat, blah blah blah, guys. Yeah, this is really poggers. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't say that. That was my own flavor. And he opens up the door, and there's just like three guys in the shack. Just like one's like holding position, the other one's like reloading his shotgun or whatever. And Deadly like does like this crazy play and manages to kill them all. And he's like freaking out. And he's looting them. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And then sure enough, someone opens up the door on him and kills Deadly. He's like, no, I got too greedy. No. Yeah. So I was watching that. I was like, dang, it looks like a lot of fun. Then I saw Ghost mention in a tweet. He was like, we had on very recently. He was saying, DayZ be looking kind of fun. Any homies trying to get in on it? And I was like, I know. Just there happens to be someone I know who has quite the history on DayZ. So I've heard.
Yeah, I'm interested, and I will restate exactly what I said in that tweet, which was vanilla is apparently not the play. I tried standalone DayZ
Hmm.
vanilla because that was just the way that you used to play the game back with
Yeah.
the armor mod. There weren't any other ways to play. You just played the armor mod.
Hmm.
And to be fair, there were some servers that were like crazy servers, but a lot of the good servers were all just vanilla servers. And back then it was very different because from the reading that I did after trying to play the standalone, like years later after it was released, is that some of the stuff has been rebalanced. Like you used to be able to like go to field or to the like orchards and you could get fruit off the trees so you could sustain yourself or something. And in the vanilla, I don't know what they've done to the balancing of the game. Maybe this is the equivalent of 6 wipes in Tarkov. The game needs to be harder. We all know what to do, so
Hmm.
whatever. But as a new player, you turn up and you have no idea and you just don't know what to do. And I played I played a lot of the original DayZ mod, and to be fair, like it was a long time ago. It was like
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
years. It was many years ago, so I've forgotten a lot of how the game mechanics worked. But from what I could gather, you basically just needed to like run along a train track to try to find two stones to clack together to make fire. And we basically did it like once out of about 3 hours, and that was it. Like everybody who I tried to get my IRL friends into it again,
Hmm.
because I was like, let's relive the glory days. And everybody quit and refunded the game, and I played it too much and couldn't. So
Oh
that
no.
was basically how it went. So I was like, well, I'm not going to play on my own. But like, I was quite committed to making it work. But I was
Hmm.
like, man, this is not like how I remember it. Like you used to be able to at least go and do something. Like the beginning was always tough, but you used to be able to go and do something. Whereas now it was like there's nothing anywhere. Like anywhere I could find, I wasn't struggling for weapons and things. Like you could find
Yeah.
those, but I was just like there was just no food or anything. So I was like, this is going to take a long time to read into. And when I did more reading into it, a lot of people were like, yeah, don't play vanilla, play this server, play this thing, or play this mod, or play this and add
Mm.
this and da da da. And there's the launcher and stuff. And I was like, okay, maybe this is for another time. I'm not sure. Like I can't just play the game and it be the game that I want. I don't think. So it needs more research. So I think, well, hopefully Ghost is doing some research into that, because like I'm down to play something that more resembled the original game, which was that. I mean, it's not dissimilar to. I almost feel like it's not dissimilar to the way that we imagine Tarkov in some ways, because DayZ is sort of the ultimate open world survival game in that sense, despite all its bugs and all of its problems, just because you have long periods of inactivity where you're
Yeah.
just killing animals, making fires, cooking, boiling water, like all of this kind of stuff. And that was the real that was the sort of the real like grind of the game, I guess, rather than Tarkov's like doing the tasks. Like they're completely different games, but you've got to have a certain amount of stuff to do.
Hmm.
And DayZ is much more traditional in that sense as a survival game, just because you have to go and do those menial basic things. And once you're up and running, so to speak, and you have like a vague base of operations that's sort of hidden away, you can go out and on expeditions, missions to go to higher and higher loot tier spots to get better and better equipment. But you're always thinking about, okay, well, when do I need to eat? What do I need to take with me? Like all of this kind of stuff. And that's sort of the bulk of the game is thinking of that always in the back of your mind. Whereas in Tarkov, it's kind of, oh, I'm running out of food. Okay, well, I'll just eat something, or like I'm in my stash and I'll just
Yeah.
fill my thing up. Right? It's not really the same in that respect. And that was what I was hoping we'd get back to. So making the beginning just like completely inaccessible, and I think it's just probably partly they've changed the mechanics, but like presumably you can play the vanilla game, right? I'm assuming that it can be done, like it must be able to be done, but coming from like a vague sense of memory of original DayZ and coming into this as a brand new player like many years later, like even with let's put it this way, even with the wiki and some guides, we really 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 struggled to even begin. We'd find weapons and things and then we'd just die to hunger and
Yeah.
then start again and then not find the rocks we need and then die to hunger. And it was like, this isn't fun. This is like when you're playing hardcore Tarkov and you have literally nothing and you're just running to weapons crates to try to find like your first gun, because before then it's not really that fun. You're not doing anything. You're just hoping that you don't meet someone and die and trying to get anything, like literally the very first step up on the on the ladder, right? You're trying to play tennis, but the very first exercise is that you're trying to like find the racket, and people are just hitting balls at you, and you're just losing every match, And you're like, well,
Yeah.
I don't even have a racket yet. So this isn't like I can't even play, and that's kind of how it feels. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a great game in there somewhere. I'm not. I've not actually watched any DayZ content. Maybe I should just go and watch some DayZ content and just see like how it plays out, what the flow of the game feels like now, whether it does feel like it used to, because it was sick back in the day. Like you just never knew when people were tracking you because it's open world the whole time. You're always at risk. You've got to hide your base. So people can come and trash your base. It seems a bit less from what I've seen of Rust. It seems a bit less like frenetic, because Rust is very grandiose in terms of your base, whereas DayZ is like it's a couple of tents hidden in the
Hmm.
ground.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like very very hard to. You could track someone back to it, and yeah, maybe later you might get some vehicles or something to hide things in. But again, the map's massive, and so it's quite unlikely to stumble upon people's stuff, or at least it was back in the day. So I'm excited. Look, I'm happy to try it again. I really am. I really really thought that we might be able to get into it, but I was personally disappointed by how little the standalone had come on from the mod. And by that I mean it seemed like it had barely changed,
Hmm.
and that
Yeah.
the it was still probably some of the more egregious bugs like weapons being deleted and stuff like that. If you move them in the wrong place in your inventory, those things have probably been fixed, I would hope. But a lot of the movement, zombies clipping through the doors, and like just door mechanics and just basic movement and things like that weren't fixed. And I was like, mate, this is like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like, what
Def
is going on here? Like, do we want to play this? I'm not sure. So I'm sure there's some fun to be had in there, but I think I need a bit of guidance to get myself excited about it.
Definitely when I was looking into it, it did seem like that was a big criticism when it first launched, was just like DayZ standalone was like a sham, you know what I mean? It was just like a complete
Mm,
sham, and but now it seems to have get like the consensus, like it's better than what it used to be. So it's like and that's all we got. I guess we'll just have to put up with it, for the DayZ fans. But you know what? It's funny you brought up like going to hit an orchard to find food, because I remember looking that up. So like, how to survive, because I played vanilla. I was like, I want to get the vanilla experience, right? Let me be a purist for a second here. And I tried vanilla, and again, it's just like running around aimlessly, dying constantly. It's just like I don't know what to do, right? and it like doesn't really dawn, at least it didn't dawn on me, that like if you can think of it in real life and you can do it, like I was just kind of like amazed that I could just go in to a bush and like strip the leaves off and make a stick, and then also amazed at like, oh, I don't have gloves, I'm bleeding now because I the stick scratched me. I was like, dang, this is like I feel like if you were a survivalist, because there's no like tutorial hints UI,
Mm.
fire can burn your legs. Oh no, you know what I mean? But if you're like a survivalist, you probably just like it's like 1 to 1. You just know what you need to do, and once you like realize like, okay, if I can do it in real life, I can probably do it in the game more or less one way or another. Just gotta find the right 2 items to combine, basically. But yeah, so I remember going to trees. I'm like, there is no freaking apples. Like I would find like a rotten pear on the ground, and that was like
Yeah.
it. I'm just like, what was this guy talking about? And I think that because there's so many mods and like things have changed over the years, it's just like really hard to like have like tutorial guide content on it that's like not outdated or like not specific to a particular version. Like it's very weird actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was the experience that I had when I first started playing EFT because I'd look at stuff that was 9 months ago and it was for a previous wipe, and I'd be like, "How is this stuff out of date? How has it changed
Oh.
so quickly?" Like, I'd never played a game like that before, and I guess DayZ was kind of sort of is now similar to that. It never used to be. It was quite static when I was playing. But yeah, the same thing. I was like, well, we used to go and find food fairly easily. And then I read one thing, and this is where I was starting to think, gosh, I've gone down a dark path here because I read one thing saying, you used to be able to go to these orchards to go and get the fruit, but that was nerfed out the game in this patch. Da da da. And I was like, man, they've like,
Okay.
and there's like, there's been significant changes to like survivability and da da da. And I was like, okay, well, everything seems to have changed. They seem to have just made things like really, really super incredible hard. Why, I'm not really sure, because it like to me it felt pretty good before. Like you couldn't just survive off only fruit, right? Because
Hmm.
there weren't orchards everywhere, and they really tied you down, right? But it was the way that you stepping stoned up into then being able to go and craft some tools, then so you can go and kill sheep or pigs or whatever elsewhere, and then you make the fire, and then you can cook wherever you want, right? It's like you need to have those stepping stones. It almost feels as if like maybe they took the stepping stones away in vanilla. I don't know, but that's the thing. I'm not an expert at the standalone
Sure.
by any means,
Sure. Sure.
and I've just played a ton of the pre-alpha one like years and years and years ago. But it was never really a problem back then, and now it was like all of us, and there was about 4 of us who tried, and we none of us could get an actual foothold into the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, okay, they've really made some changes here. This is nuts.
That was definitely my experience in
Um,
vanilla. Is I was either constantly looking at guides how to survive. Like I remember like walking railroads to find 2 stones to like you know I make something I don't even know, and then you can make fire and yeah. And it was just like a lot of like aimlessly wandering around looting stuff. Like even just like knowing where to look in buildings because all the spawns are like static, but they're like yeah,
yeah,
you just have to look in the right spots, and it's not like a loot indicator, like nothing glows. You just gotta know, like, oh, that's a thing you pick up. It's just like otherwise it looks like it's a part of the world. It's a part of the bed. I can't pick it up. It's just a model. There's anyways. But yeah, it
yeah.
is an interesting experience. Just kind of like that, trying to like get accustomed to the game and knowing how to like have those steps, snowball steps to really get into the next tier of survival, if you will, without being like hard stuck and I'm just trying to find food and water and not
Yeah,
get sick
exactly.
and
I
die.
just wonder if some of those custom servers are like vanilla old. You know what I mean? Like the way it
Maybe.
was, but
Yeah.
now because people love vanilla stuff. People love like what's it called? Like the original RuneScape, like the vanilla WoW
Yeah.
servers, like that kind of stuff. People love to reminisce about the games that they
Hmm.
played, in their teens and that kind of thing. So I can well believe that there's servers that are very basic. I mean, I probably talked about this the last time, but we don't talk about DayZ very often. But I mean, the last time that we spoke about DayZ, I almost always bring up this story, which is like the best event of our life, which was um getting the helicopter working. It's like the best gaming thing that I've ever done with like my IRL friends.
Hmm.
Getting a helicopter working on one of the vanilla servers, because it was absolutely insane. Because you had to bring 8 panes of glass. You had to bring
Yeah.
an engine. You had to bring all this fuel. We had like 3 different vehicles. You have to go to the northwest airfield, or sorry, northeast airfield with
Uh-huh.
like which is like really high hotspot anyway, and people are always there sniping you. Like you're like driving down the runway, like trying to get into the hangar with the aircraft, and people are, someone on the hill with the Dragonov just like
Mhm.
you drive in, you guys are like trying to fix it up. You've got two dudes on the hill, they're like trying to counter snipe while your guys are like fixing the heli up. Man, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. We basically spent like a full week preparing. It was like 5 days, I think. We had two aborted missions and finally did it on the third try. And then we were just like flying around in vanilla, and people were just talking in because it was kind of like a general all chat as well. There's people just like talking in all chat, being like, dude, who's got the helicopter? Like, this is insane. Because, everyone else is like on the ground, kind of like, eating like rotten fruit and trying to like cook a piece of lamb up
Yeah.
and stuff. And you're just there like, like bombing it around in the heli. Like, and this is the thing, something like that is so hard to do. It's like, I don't know, raid mechanics from other RPGs, but you did it yourself just because it was in the framework of the game. That's like, to me, that on its own seals DayZ as one of the greatest gaming experiences
Mm.
of all time for me, of all time, honestly. Like just that is possible. That framework's in the game, but it's so hard to achieve.
Yeah.
It's just it's just insane. It's just incredible. And Tarkov could do with things like that.
Yeah.
Things that are not necessary, but are awesome when you do them. Because like, what are you going to do with a helicopter? I mean, basically, what we did is we just flew around because the trees are all like little kind of spikes from the top, so you can just go around, you can fly around and just see everybody else's vehicles. It was
Yeah.
actually like super OP. So you just like we ended up like taking this huge coach. I mean, it's really dumb. We had to put it in somewhere else that wasn't our main base because it's like enormous. Everyone's going to find it. But we ended up with like an armored truck from one group, like a coach from another group. We had this like fleet of vehicles because we were just going around the map, just like collecting people's stuff. It was like it was funny. But yeah, I mean, once you get to that point, you're like, well, what are you supposed to do with it or whatever? But just getting to that achievement is awesome. And those things are what we should be trying to replicate. Those experiences are what we should be trying to replicate because that's real. It feels like a real achievement when you do things like that. And it was epic. Honestly, it was epic. It was one of the best gaming moments of anything that I've done. Like genuinely, it was absolutely insane. It was insane.
That's cool, dude. That hearing you talk about it, it's just you need to go watch JKL or is it JLK? I always get it confused.
JLK. I've seen one JLK video, which is the drugs cartel video. I've
Yeah,
I've
that
seen
one's a
that
good
one.
one. Yeah, that
I
one's a
have
good one.
seen that one.
Yeah, so, like, yeah, hearing yeah, I just oh, man, dude. We could ever get there in Tarkov where you just have, like, these, like, story oh, yeah, I don't wanna don't get me started, hold me back, Lord Jesus, you know what I'm saying? But let me testify real quick. It's yeah, dude. Oh, I love it, I love it. But,
The only thing that I would say about it, right, is
uh-huh.
that it was a particular point in time, and this is the thing about DayZ is that you bang when we played it, you kind of have to play it like you really have to have a lot of spare time because there's a lot of downtime. Tarkov is a lot more concentrated in that way. And so it's a lot more intense in some respects, and there's a lot of dead time in DayZ. It's more like if you ever see the series The Walking Dead, right? It's just like nothing happens, and
Right.
then especially the early stuff, nothing happens, and then suddenly someone just gets shot out of nowhere, like mid conversation. It's like that, right? Whereas Tarkov is like so concentrated, it's just a different vibe. But DayZ just consumes your life. Like there was about 5 of us, and all of us coincidentally had various gaps in scheduling or a week where there was nothing to do because we were basically all at university, and we just played DayZ. Literally, we got up, we played DayZ all day,
Yeah.
and then when it got dark in the game, which was at about 5, we stopped
Uh-huh.
playing DayZ,
Funny.
and it was like that. Like it was like every day. It was
Yeah.
just the whole week, just nonstop, and it was nuts. And it just coincided, like the stars aligned,
Mhm.
and we all played together and did this like crazy achievement, and then nothing ever like that has happened since. But that's the thing, you need insane time. You need insane amounts of
Yeah,
time. And like
yeah, for sure.
I don't have that. Like most people don't have that, right?
Yep.
Once you're over the age of about 23,
Mm.
it seems to disappear. So, maybe that's partly it too, right? Maybe you could just never recover that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, yeah, that reminds me like Rust, man. Oh my god, dude, I spent dude, I can just remember there was like 1 month where it's just like my life was Rust, dude. It was crazy, dude. It was crazy, man, but
I'm scared to even touch Rust. I really am. I'm
oh no.
terrified. I'm
There's
terrified. You sent me that thing. What did you send me? That was it Frost who had the speakers set up? He'd like gone to bed
oh
and he has the speakers.
yeah. Dude, that's insane, right? It's insane.
Gone to
So
sleep and he has a speaker set up just in case someone raids him, so he'll wake up in the middle of the night and then like fend the raid off because he's like working on some project. I'm like,
yeah.
is this what I want my life to look like?
He did another video which was pretty interesting, where him and another content creator were playing duos, and it's like a meta video on content creation for Rust, and it's like an analysis of the content creator that he was doing with, and how like
Mhm.
no matter how bad the server gets, like the population's like 10% or like 5% of what it could be, like it's 20 out of 200. It'll be like the other guy would be like, okay, we got to do this raid. We got to get this. We got to get these rockets. And then they die to a hacker. It's like, oh man, let's go raid him. Like, let's go try it. Like, because he's like trying desperately to like milk out any content he can. Because as soon as he's done with the video, he's gonna log off and start editing. And then Frost is like, dude, we should just go play a new server. And he's like, no, we can get this content, dude. It's so funny, dude. It's such a cool video. It's definitely like not normal for him to do that type of content, but it was pretty interesting and cool. So,
Good. That's good.
yeah, dude. I did play a few mods on DayZ that were like Tarkov inspired, which was interesting. I don't know if I told you about this.
Are the ones where there's traders and safe zones in a circle and stuff? I think maybe
Yeah,
we did touch on it then. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's interesting. I kind of like a little bit more of the vanilla experience because it was a little too like yeah, it was like ruble meta all over again. You know, you loot
Mhm.
anything and then you go and sell it for rubles and buy. That's kind of cool because it like accelerates. And this is the thing is like Tarkov for me is kind of like, oh, I'm gonna make a horrible analogy, but it's kind of like the Call of Duty of DayZ or something. It's just like, you know, cuts out all that slow burn
Fluff.
stuff and sort of just like more. And it Tarkov can have its slow burn moments for sure, but part of that is I think due to like the spawning system. Like for me, the activity chart is like, you know, like the middle of the raid, it's a slow burn, and like the start of the raid and end of the raid, it's usually in the raid being whenever you extract, it's usually like the high intensity parts. But
Yeah,
anywho,
because that's always the way that I've seen the game. You know, Tarkov. For me, it's kind of the logical successor uh to DayZ, but taking it in a different way, right? Because you've got DayZ, which is like real life. You go through it like real
mhm,
life. There's lots of downtime where you're doing chores effectively like real life to sustain your character. There's a survival game, so it
yeah,
needs to be like that. And then the easy like the thing about DayZ is that like it's like that, but there's no requirement to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to loot anything. There's no pressure, but you do. And the draw is the PvP around the areas that are high value. Because the high value brings more people, so there's more risk, but then there's more loot. And that's kind of its own thing. But it's up to you. It's like your own pacing. So that's why it takes a very very long time. And people can just camp endlessly. People can camp endlessly if they want. I mean, I had a standoff with someone outside actually that exact airfield where we ended up doing the thing, but it was just like, you know, months before or whatever, with
mhm.
like my friend using VoIP, coaxing this dude out across a period of 45 minutes, and then me slotting him with a sniper rifle from like 400 meters away, which is like, and it's just like just wouldn't get that interaction. It took forever. It took forever. Um, but then the logical progression for that is the battle royale, right? Because it says, right, we're going to
Yeah,
take the
yeah,
DayZ format and we're going to add some arbitrary constraint to force everybody together to make the fight, to force it to happen in an arena round by round type
mhm,
mode in 40 minutes. And for me, Tarkov takes that concept, but it's the other fork off the branch, which is like, okay, well, what if we don't force everybody together with the circle or something arbitrary? What if we just dump everybody in and they have to get to the other side within a certain time? You know, it's like it's the another take on the same thing.
yeah,
But this is what you're doing. It's an abstraction of DayZ by
mhm,
cutting out all of the chores section and just getting to the action by saying, fine, we're gonna shortcut and have, you know, menus for the other stuff, for sorting out your staff and your rubles and traders and all this kind of thing. That's all going to be done just with menus. And then you're going to get dumped in just as, because you go on these expeditions in DayZ, right? You'll get everything prepared, da, 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 and then you'll actually travel to the place. Whereas Tarkov is like, we're just going to start you at the edge of the place, and then
yeah,
you go and do your
yeah,
fun stuff, and then you extract, and
right.
then everything outside of
It's
that is just dealt with menus. And so it's like
yes,
it's sort of a shortcut, so you can play, you get a lot more action, right? And it's just a different take on it than the battle royale genre, in my opinion. So it's interesting, and it's got its pros and cons, right? It's like it's less real, and so it's potentially you're less invested in it, and you don't have quite the same highs and lows. Like Call of Duty is just all highs. It's just all highs, just highs the whole time, especially if you're playing something like deathmatch, whatever. It's just all highs constantly. So it's just like full on, just and then that's it. You stop. Tarkov somewhere in the middle. It's a big rush, and then there's a slow bit, and then there's a big rush, and there's a slow bit. DayZ's just like lots of slow. But when stuff does happen, like your heart like falls out of your chest,
dude.
like you're like desperate. It's crazy. Like it's very difficult to. I mean, to be honest, Tarkov does actually match it because of like what's at stake most of the time. There is the same kind of element of that, but it's sort of similar because DayZ, you die and the person loots you, and you lose the stuff that you had on you if the guy comes and loots you or whatever. But you can go back to your body, right? And there's people play DayZ in groups. You can go back to your body, that kind of thing. So it's a bit less final than solo Tarkov. So I feel like solo Tarkov actually, in some ways, does it does actually match the anxiety and sort of the when things get really crazy, it does actually match that same level of intensity for me, despite not having the same build up that DayZ does, because there's potentially even more at stake in EFT and stuff. But it's just a different vibe. But yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of what we have now is like it's a good balance between stress and tension. I mean, that's why people play it for such a long time. Right? We're all talking about the game and things that we want to change, and some people get fed up of it or whatever. But typically people have played literal thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of it in a state where it's not really release ready, right? And people are still playing it thousands of hours. So as long as we continue down this path, it could be absolutely insanely good. But yeah, DayZ's got its own charm. It's a different beast. So I'd like to try again.
Yeah, and I think it's to reiterate what you said, it's like spawning. Tarkov is like spawning outside of airfield and reserve. Like reserve is the equivalent of airfield of DayZ, and you just spawn right outside. So it definitely like shortcuts that experience, and absolutely it has its highs and high intensity moments and low intensity moments for sure. It's still there.
Yeah.
There's something else I was gonna say, but it slips my mind. So that's DayZ. Tarkov is doing its thing. We'll see what comes of it in the coming days. I mean, we didn't really mention this, but the flea market is back. We did hit that community goal, that first goal of 600 billion, was it? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, only 900 billion to go.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
Indeed, exciting times. I think it's fun. Enjoy it for what it is. Try not to mull too much.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Unless you got anything else you want to say, Giga?
Nope, I'm good.
Thanks so much, guys, for tuning and listening. Support's been awesome. If you want to get featured on the show or want to shoot us a message, anchor.fm/ScavTalk. Record a message, send us there. We'll be happy to answer your question or start a conversation and a topic if you got a topic you want us to talk about. And as always, we'll see you next week.